Yo, Frontline, it's Val. How you doing? I am here today to talk with you, at you, near you, maybe, about the stages of behavior change. And a lot of times in common conception, the way that we talk about behaviors is that you either do them or you don't, and that it's one or the other. But like this, as in many other things, behavior is a lot more complicated than one or the other. This note here says, behaviors can change, but it's not as easy as flipping a light switch. Change comes in stages. And this is really important to remember when we're working with vulnerable populations, that sometimes we want folks to be healthier, but it might not happen on our time frame. And that can be really frustrating, but it's crucial. So what we're looking at here is the Prochaska and DiClemente stage or model of behavioral change. And so we're going to go through all of these pieces of the pie one by one. But we start here in pre-contemplation. So this stage is the stage where there might be a behavior change that exists, but someone is not considering it. So the example that I'm going to use for talking about this today is quitting tobacco. This is something that I myself did a couple of years ago and struggled with for a long time. And so in the days when I was happily smoking, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about quitting, and there didn't seem to be a huge reason to. So this stage, pre-contemplation, the sort of where people often are is, I'm not thinking about it. I've got enough to deal with already. All right? Let me just get through college or whatever. Let me just, get through X, Y, or Z, and maybe then I'll think about it, but not yet. So the fancy word for this is pre-contemplation, and you can see contemplation being thinking about it. Well, this happens before that. So obviously the next stage is contemplation, or planning to do it. I'm thinking it through, and I intend to do it, but I'm not sure when. So this would be the stage when it strikes me occasionally that I ought to quit. And I don't act on it, but I think about it sometimes. I contemplate it. The next step here would be taking steps to do it. So I've made it a goal, I've taken some steps, I'll be doing it soon. This stage is known as preparation. And so in my own personal history of quitting tobacco, one of the goals that I set was to go for a month smoke-free. Smoke-free February, I called it. And so I prepared myself for doing a month without smoking by laying in some supplies so that I could do manicures and keep my hands busy, by identifying who my friends were that didn't smoke so that I could seek them out if I felt like I needed support. And I also spent some time setting up my room and sort of, getting rid of ashtrays or like half packs of tobacco or whatever, and preparing myself for making this big change. So once preparation happens, once someone is sufficiently prepared, the next step here is doing it. This is the stage known as action. I'm really doing it, and I'm taking it one day at a time. Action. After that first day that you quit, it's not like, the next day it's suddenly not an issue anymore. Anyone who's ever struggled with a tobacco addiction, or nicotine addiction, I should say, knows that the day number 2 is even harder than day number 1. And so the stage that we're discussing now in the stages of change model is known as maintenance, sticking with it for at least 6 months. It's part of my life now, and I'm staying on track. aka maintenance. And we have the 6 months is sort of arbitrary. It doesn't doesn't take that long for new behaviors, new ways of being to stick always, and sometimes it takes longer, and sometimes someone might fall really into the swing of things, the new way of doing stuff, and never look back. And sometimes people might struggle for much longer than this. And it sort of depends on how long it is that they had been doing the old behavior and how central it was to their life, how important it was to them, how much they identified with it, if there were other factors in their lives, or whatever. All of those different factors will change how long it is that maintenance is a stage and not just the new way. Then there's also the oops track, what we know as relapse. I stopped doing it. How do I get back on track? And this stage of behavior change is absolutely natural. If behavior change were a light switch, that if you just flipped it once and it never got reflipped, then you would be peachy, then we would not have to talk about this. But we do have to talk about relapse. And we have to talk about it in a way that does not damn people who go through relapse, because most behavioral changes do not take the first time. And I've read varying studies, it depends on who you ask, but that quitting smoking takes 7 to 10 times before it sticks, before you can actually do it in a way that meets your needs. It was really important for me, for instance, to recognize the things that tobacco gave me, that is, a chance to take a break and have some time for myself, and build those in to my tobacco-less life, so that I could maintain my peace of mind, or the things that I got from tobacco, without going crazy without that peace of mind. I also want to add at this point that relapse is not the goal, but if we act like people who have relapsed have failed rather than people who are going through the natural course of things, then we might never get to talk to them again. If we judge them, they might turn away from us and decide that they can't trust us with the hard stuff in their lives, and that's not what we want. So let's just take one more look at this picture here, the cycle. Pre-contemplation does not recognize the need for change or is not actively considering it. Moves to contemplation. That moves to preparation, action, and maintenance. And you can see that this relapse, and this is specific for drug use, right? But this relapse loop can go all the way around. You can relapse the next day after you've made change. You can relapse 2 days in, you can relapse 6 months in, you can relapse 6 years in, and you oftentimes, if someone is contemplating it and then something changes in their lives and they stop contemplating it, then they ride that relapse loop back into pre-contemplation. And so everything here cycles. There's not a strict line through it. So in the